Greetings. Right, my name's Ian Dunn, and this is an example of an application I developed for my own company, Orion Metrics Limited, which basically is it's developed to basically reading data flows from a cast simulation model, from actual cast output files, and create a desk profile based on those flows. In this simple simulation I'm going to show today, and it's a simple simulation video, I'm going to show how to use it just to validate an existing flow. In later videos I'll show how to do a desk profile optimization and how to save the data, and also in other videos how to actually export it in the actual data as XML files as opening and closing times for particular desks. I'll load in a file. Actually, I shall load in this one. This is all dummy data, but it's all from the cast simulation model. This is basically showing the date, the simulation time, arrived clients, finished clients, and the average transaction time. The one thing I must put at this point in time is that this simulation shows queues from cast as being cumulative queues, not the queues that actually show the maximum queue length you get from the XML files. That's actually an important key element of the model of how to analyze cast data, because cast basically has you have an object which could be a desk basically, and then you have a queue plate which represents the length of people queuing. But if you had the say your process times or your flows very severely wrong to that desk, which can happen, you would end up with, or say the desk opening closing times were wrong, you could end up with a queue that was actually going past the queue plate. On this model, it would only show the queue on the queue plate, but you could have live like hundreds of people outside the queue plate, which it wouldn't show. That's the reason why you look at the arrived clients and the finished clients to get a better idea of the actual real true queue to the model. And this uses this idea of a cumulative flow throughout the entire simulation, as well as the actual reporting stages. But I've loaded in this file. What I should do now for this simple validating the model stage is basically just select on optimized desks. I can select another desk if I had more than one open. You can open up more than one desk. You can basically select a whole folder as well. So a range of desks, it will automatically open and have it on a tabulated format. You can basically select the one that you want from the tab, or you can select it once in the optimization page from this drop down. I can set the flow as 1 because I'm just going to do a straightforward validation of this actual cast cumulative queues. Because I expect when I run this basically to have, if everything was absolutely fine, to have the exact same flow as what went into the model. So I've basically got minimum desk as 1, maximum desk as 1, queue threshold 3, maximum threshold 6. That doesn't matter at the moment because I forced the maximum desk to be 1. So even if the queue went beyond 6, it wouldn't make any difference because I set the desk as 1. If you had it as high, if the maximum desk was higher than that, if the queue went up to above 6. Or 6 or plus, it basically will automatically open up another desk because it would hit the queue threshold basically to try to get the queue to keep within the queue threshold. I shall now start this simulation going by processing it. You've got a little taskbar and it's showing the progress in percentages here and showing the input data that you just selected at the top. And then it basically shows the cumulative flows from cast, emphasis on the word cumulative again, and then it's showing what the simulation has achieved, which is also in yellow. And in the ideal world, that would be absolutely identical to the one below. There are slight variations, but in far as this simulation goes, it's adequate for the task. The whole purpose of this is not to produce a final, complete, optimized desk profile that you would submit in your final report. It's basically a tool basically developed to do a quick, rough and ready sort of guesstimate basically of what the profile you need in the simulation is, because from past experience of doing cast terminal simulations before, it can be fairly lengthy process if you just want optimized desks in one particular subset area of the model, like a localized area. For example, checking desks. You might want to look at, say, a checking desk for a certain operator. You wouldn't want to keep running the model every single time. Basically, it can literally take hours if it was a big simulation to just look at the one single area. So basically, you take the flow going in one and optimize it by this method, and that's basically showing that the flows are pretty, but the queues are pretty similar to ones that are originally in. Again, cumulative queues, not the actual queue reported on the queue plate. If I had selected a minimum desk as 0, then this would mean 0 desks, and it would have gone to 1 as soon as the first person went in. But for this sheer exercise of showing a validity check on the queues, I've just kept it as 1 to begin with. What I should do is a quick little demo as well, but I won't go into it until the next video. It's just basically showing an example of doing a very quick profile optimization based on increasing the flow from one desk, or increasing it by a factor of 5, assuming there were like 5 desks in the simulation to get an idea what profile you need based on the on the same Q thresholds that were used in this demo here. So I shall go to optimize desks again. Same desk as before. I shall now increase that to 5. That's a fly. I shall keep the minimum desk as 1, maximum desk as 10. Keep minimum queue same as 4, 3, and 6. So basically, if the thread gets over 6, it will automatically open up another desk to try and get the queue threshold within it. And it's only used as an estimate profile. I shall now process that. Takes a little bit longer to run because it's doing more processing on the actual PC. It's all PC based. I am researching the ability of having this processing stage actually done on a cloud platform. At the moment, I'm experimenting on my own server, but I'm looking into using more of commercial things like Amazon Cloud Technologies to do the background, because this is a bit. It can be a bit time consuming, but it's usually within sort of a minute or two. But it would be nice to get it faster. Anyway, it's running now. It's nearly finished. And then it's produced this profile. Again, I had a minimum desk of 1, so it started off at 1 again. And then you got this simple profile here. It's just simply generated a profile, and then you can export that if you so wished, basically, to XML opening closing time for XML, which you can import into Cast to actually do the desk profiles. Anyway, that's the end of my little simulation. In the future videos, I'll show how you can edit the profiles, and then how you can export them to these XML files, which you can then the user can basically import if they're so wishing to Cast simulation model. Anyway, many thanks. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll see you next time. Anyway, cheers. Bye.